So medical tourism is booming.
Yes.
Like, why do you think India has not caught up to that?
Medical tourism is booming. One of the reasons I think India has not caught up to that is because we are trying to play the discount game. I think we are trying to, sell things very, very cheap. And when it comes to medical tourism and getting your treatments at the cheapest cost, Thailand wins. When it comes to precision medicine, Germany wins. When it comes to innovation, Korea or Japan wins. But India has so much.
So, what is the biggest lie in healthcare industry that the healthcare industry tells its patients?
Doctors get paid when you fall sick, right? So hospitals will sell you beds, pharmacy will sell you medicines, and the entire institute is financially rigged that everyone makes money when you're just slightly sick to keep coming back. That's how the. But what if we flip this? Later, he does not care if the laundry is not done. Why are some people genetically wired to stay healthy? Why are some people not?
Welcome to another episode of GIBS IRE podcast, where innovation meets inspiration. Today we have Roshni Sanghvi with us, who holds a master's degree in clinical psychology from the City University of New York. She is also a holistic nutritionist and has competed in national level bodybuilding competition by following 100% plant-based diet. She currently runs Clinic Living Plus. Hello, Ms. Roshni. Welcome to GIBS IRE podcast.
Thank you so much, Anita. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for IRE Talks for hosting me.
You're most welcome.
Yeah.
So, the first question I would like to start with is, you're a nutritionist and you also hold a master's degree in clinical psychology. You run multiple businesses. So, on a day-to-day basis, what is the role that you play?
It's going on evolving. It changes with every new hat that I wear. Clinic Living Plus is my recent venture, which is a integrative health and holistic health clinic where we focus on disease reversal, particularly through autoimmune diseases and gut disorders. Here, it is purely that of an entrepreneur, which is running mostly a lot of people management and finance management, business growth is what the current focus is on.
So, when you started off with your business, have you failed at anything? Did that failure teach you anything?
No, 100%. I don't even think failures come in terms of once in a while. I think it happens almost on a daily basis, 100%. I think it evolves you as a person. What I look at myself, the personality the person I was a few years back versus what I am now is very, very different. And that's with every failure you learn, right? You learn how to become a better a team leader, a better manager. You become better at things like website designing, from the very basic marketing to evolving yourself as a better person. So 100% failures, and it's very, very important because what else will you benchmark yourself with? So if unless you have a failure, you don't know that you're bad at something or good at something. So it keeps teaching you.
How do you get up and keep moving in spite of all the failures?
I think it goes in the same cycle for everyone. You have days where you feel that you're right and the world is wrong, and then you try to convince yourself that it's not your fault and everyone else's. But then over time, you realize that that's not the way you should handle situations. There are different, ways to handle situations. But for me, with regard to failure, it becomes easier because I come from a family of 6 people. We live in the same house, and 6 of us are entrepreneurs with different businesses. So we have 6 businesses within the house.
So you're a case study in itself.
It's so beautiful. It's very beautiful. So it's like every morning when we are leaving home, we are all going to our individual businesses. We are growing our individual businesses. So when we come back in the evening, we have so much of learnings and so much of sharings to do. Like this morning, I happened to be in the car with my dad. Mostly we don't leave together. This morning he was dropping me to work. So we both were in the same car, and we were discussing with regard to how to retain employees long term. How do you cross the people staying with you for 5 years and 10 years? And he obviously has so much more experience than me, and he was trying to teach me in terms of setting up policies and ESOPs to help people stay for long. And that was something very interesting. I never thought of it that way. I'm a young entrepreneur. I've been in the my entrepreneur journey has been less than a decade now. So trying to learn this from him was very interesting. So for me, when it's failure, it's also coming back home and trying to understand lessons from different people who are in the family. And yeah, that becomes easier. I think it also is beautiful because I don't think family businesses are hard to navigate, right? Where do you put a line? Where do you put a line of this is my father versus this is my boss? It's very hard to navigate. Um, so we would have probably killed each other if we were in the same business. But because we have so much of creativity which we can unleash in our separate businesses, when we come back home, it's like a unit. So when I'm failing, they're all there to support me. Might not necessarily be financial support, but emotional support and helping me in terms of understanding and learning. So that makes it very easy for me to bounce back from failures.
Can you help us understand your business a little bit more?
Of course. So Clinic Living Plus was born out of what happened was a few years ago, my father was, keeps coming up, my father in this conversation. He was diagnosed with gallbladder stones, and we were in one of the top hospitals in Bangalore, and the treatment was really bad in terms of misdiagnosis from some of the top doctors in Bangalore. And it's common, it's not uncommon for this to happen. And him going through a lot of unnecessary treatment protocols because of misdiagnosis and not being treated well, and no one had the time to talk. It was just my mom and me in the hospital trying to understand this whole thing and trying to talk to doctors, but it was so difficult to talk to them for more than 5 minutes, and no one was there to help us, and we were thinking, if this is happening to someone who has the means to pay and you're in one of the top institutes of Bangalore, then what about people who don't have the means to pay, who don't have? So one of that was a desire out of which Clinic Living Plus was born. And Clinic Living Plus is a integrative health clinic. Integrative health meaning it is probably the only clinic in Bangalore where MBBS allopathy doctors work side by side with Ayurvedic doctors, with naturopathy doctors, with nutrition coaches, with registered dietitians, with mental health experts, with a wellness coach, with a physiotherapist. So each client has a panel of experts working together. And when the client's case history comes to us, it takes a minimum of 1 hour for the doctor to sit and understand. So we don't take more than 7 to 8 clients per doctor per day. That is the maximum. So we talk. So per client is spending about 1 hour in the initial consultation. Then these experts go and have a panel discussion to understand, hey, what is the right protocol for treatment? Because sometimes Ayurveda might have an answer, sometimes allopathy might. And very importantly, interaction of the two medicines can cause a problem. So trying to understand where do we draw a line in terms of, so that's an integrative health. That's what we do at Clinic Living Plus. But it's very, very patient focused and reversal focus. It's not focused on managing your disease. So when someone comes in with diabetes, our goal is not how much medicine can I give you so we manage your diabetes. No, the goal is how do I reverse your diabetes. For us, management is failure. Managing is not doing a good enough unless you're able to reverse it. Where possible, obviously there are conditions you're not able to reverse, but where possible, the goal of Clinic Living Plus is to reverse disease and work in an integrative fashion versus just seeing the doctor for 5 minutes.
It's very interesting to have both allopathy and Ayurveda together.
And naturopathy.
So that's really interesting. So medical tourism is booming.
Yes.
Like, why do you think India has not caught up to that?
Medical tourism is booming. One of the reasons I think India has not caught up to that is because we are trying to play the discount game. I think we are trying to, sell things very, very cheap. And when it comes to medical tourism and getting your treatments at the cheapest cost, Thailand wins. When it comes to precision medicine, Germany wins. When it comes to innovation, Korea or Japan wins. But India has so much. India has one Ayurveda. India has this understanding of human body from traditional science, ancient science, and has enough innovation in modern medicine. We also have treatments like ozone therapy, peptide therapy, which is booming now. We have so much happening in terms of modern medicine. We have this understanding of ancient human body. If we can merge the two and stop working on discount, we are literally sitting on a gold mine and we are trying to give out discount passes. I think we should move away from that. I think we should really respect what we have. And if we can do that, we can take medical tourism to a huge level in India. And I think there is so much opportunity over there.
Yeah. I think we should all strive towards that so that it becomes something so good, like how yoga is today to the world. So
and
we should take it forward.
Works, no? Because when you're working with people with, let's say, psoriasis or arthritis or rheumatoid arthritis, there are therapies, combination therapies with ozone or peptide therapy, even nutritional lifestyle intervention, mental health intervention. If we can get people to come here and experience that in a, India has mountains, India has beaches, India has everything, India has infrastructure. If we can experience and give that experience to people, this, what else? People are ready to pay for that. Why are we fighting on let's give it at the cheapest cost? I don't think we should be doing.
Very true.
Yeah.
So you became the India's first woman to compete in national bodybuilding on 100% plant-based diet. So when did you decide to do that, and what was exciting about that?
It wasn't actually for, I did not do it because I wanted to get into bodybuilding. I was managing multiple fitness centers at that time, which was the family business which we had come from. So trying to manage multiple fitness centers, and I was very young. And it was a education journey for me, someone who's been in the fitness industry. The biggest, the best way to say that you made it is to stand on a bodybuilding stage. So for a trainer, for a fitness trainer, for it to stand on a bodybuilding stage. And because I was handling multiple fitness centers, from a management perspective, I wanted to see, can I do this also? So that was my inspiration. But I was already a vegetarian, but I wanted to push the boundaries by seeing if I can do it on a vegan diet. And I did it. I turned vegan about 2 years before the competition, and I'm still vegan. So it's been a decade now. But I had a fantastic coach who was guiding me through my journey, which made the journey easier. It was also a challenge to myself. I did not want to contribute towards animal cruelty, or even in terms of myself making sure that I do it in the healthiest way. And a plant-based diet is the healthiest way to help you, stay fit, longevity, or plant-forward diet. If you're eating more plants than animal on your plate, that is healthy for the body in general. So I wanted to see if I can push the boundaries and do it on a vegan diet. I did it very successfully. I came in second in the regional, and I was the first plant-based bodybuilder from India.
Congratulations. That was quite inspiring. Right. So let me move on to asking you some management related questions, because we are a management institution at the end of it. Okay. So if you could introduce one innovation to the Indian healthcare system today with zero budget constraints, what would it be?
I've thought about this so much, and I really want to at some point be able to do it, even if it's on a micro scale. To set up a biological age registry. I'll tell you what this means. So right now, doctors get paid when you fall sick, right? So hospitals will sell you beds, pharmacy will sell you medicines, and the entire institute is financially rigged that everyone makes money when you're just slightly sick to keep coming back. That's how but what if we flip the system? Let's say we have this national biological age registry where once a year, everyone measures their biological age. Biological age is different from your chronological age. Chronological age is how old I am based on how I was born. Biological age is based on my health parameters. So let's say you're required to check your blood parameters, inflammation markers, cardiac markers, and you have a biological age given to you once a year, which is attached to my Aadhaar card. So it is measurable, it's scalable, it is doable. And then we flip the system. Let's say doctors and clinics get bonuses based on how much you're able to reverse the biological age of a person. Or let's say that your insurance premiums go low when you're metabolically healthier than your chronological age. Or let's say in a workforce, employers get tax benefits depending on how you can keep your biological age of your workforce younger. Then everyone is actually talking about reversing your biological age or getting healthier than spending money on taking care of. So we have changed the healthcare as being beneficial than sick care. We are not focusing on sick. Right now, so much of money is on sick care, sick care, sick care. We should change it and move towards healthcare. I think that would be a fantastic innovation, especially because metabolic diseases, which is your diabetes, hypertension, cholesterol, all of these are reversible by lifestyle and nutritional habits. Very much reversible. And India is a capital for diabetes. India is a hub for diabetes. And we are promoting that in a sense even more. But if you start paying people to stay healthier, if you start giving advantage to clinics, to doctors to actually make people healthier, then doctors will start focusing on that. So stop paying doctors to manage disease, but start paying doctors to eradicate disease. That would be something that I would be interested in working.
That's a very wonderful thought process. That's very different from what we teach in the textbook.
Yes.
So, which brings me to my next question. There must be some things that you learn from your patients that are very different from what the textbook says. What would that be?
One story which keeps coming to my mind was this patient who told me that doctors have only given me a diagnosis, you've given me a direction. And that's what mostly happens. And this is again a very personal story. Again, my father, it seems to be very inspiring for me in my life. But when he was diagnosed with diabetes for the first time, and we went to a diabetologist to help understand, because it's not very, when someone says in the family we don't have any doctors in the family, we don't have anyone in the medical profession. So when we just heard that, hey, he has diabetes, go to a diabetologist, and the diabetologist is telling that you need to take this medicine, you need to start immediately. And I'm sitting in front of the diabetologist and I'm asking him, okay, for how long does he need to take it? Because when you have fever, cold, cough, you start a medicine and then there's an end date. And he just looks up and says, forever, you don't stop this. And that was so scary for me, because imagine, coming from generally Indian families, you're not very allopathy forward. Most Indian families are not allopathy forward. So now this doctor is saying that he needs to take this medicine for the rest of his life. That's a diagnosis. It's a diagnosis of diabetes. But no one told us a direction we need to walk on to reverse diabetes. That conversation was not even brought up. There was no start eating healthy, start exercising, start losing. There was no conversation even brought up from this perspective. So when that patient told me that till now I've only received a diagnosis and you are the first one to tell me a direction towards working towards my health, that became my motto. For the clinic, that is the motto. And now also in the clinic, we do not focus. Diagnosis is discussed for 5 minutes. 45 minutes, we are discussing direction to work on the diagnosis.
It's nice that there is a different direction that is given to the patients rather than just a diagnosis. So on that note, let me ask you, if you had to hire one person to fix India's public health crisis, what would be their job title?
Chief Behavioral Analyst. I'll tell you what that means. It wouldn't be a policymaker, it wouldn't be a doctor or a medical professional. Chief Behavioral Analyst. Analyze people's behavior. Why are we wired to choose samosa over salad? Why are we making certain behavioral choices? Why, when the doorbell rings and the husband and wife are sitting and watching TV, one of them instantly gets up to open the door and one of them sits back and says, can you please check? And it's always the same. It's always one person is a little bit more laid back, one person is always more excited. With my husband and I, it's always a struggle because we come back from a holiday and I instantly want to start cleaning up the bag which we've got, and he wants to do it like a week later. He does not care if the laundry is not done. Why are some people genetically wired to stay healthy? Why are some people not? So that behavioral science is important. And I think once you crack that, you're able to help people make changes which are sustainable for the rest of their life. Otherwise, people change. Everyone likes to go on a diet for 4 weeks. Everyone likes to go to the gym for 1 week. Everyone likes to do certain things and they know they feel better when they do that. But eventually you fall back to your old behavioral habits. So someone to try to understand why do people fall back to old behavioral habits. You will only likely make a change when that change is giving you this much of happiness versus this much of happiness which you were getting. So whenever we try to make changes when working with clients, we always see that, hey, if waking up late in the morning is giving you this much happiness, how do I make exercise this much happy? Only if I do this will you exercise. If I don't do this, if exercise is causing pain, you will do it, but eventually you'll go to what's giving you happiness, which is waking up late in the morning. So I think that behavioral analyst is a very important thing. It's not there. We don't have behavioral analyst.
Right. Yeah. So you would like to change the habits, the behavior of people so that they live a healthy life.
Understand why is it causing, and then change it based on.
Yeah. Right. So when you want to make certain changes, but maybe people are not willing to make that change, as a founder, what was the hardest management lesson that you learned?
From at least with the clinic recently, one of the hardest lessons which I continue to make on a daily basis is asking the staff or relieving the staff, particularly doctors who are very, very clinically sound, excellent doctors, but they are not very sound in terms of disease reversal. They believe in disease management. You've come to me for diabetes, I will manage your diabetes. And people are happy because you're seeing your HbA1c is in range, sugar's not rising, but you're taking all these medicines. Yeah. So people who are in the medical profession, who are not very pro in terms of reversal, just because they are not taught, no, because doctors are not taught nutrition, doctors are not taught mental health, it's not, no one is taught, right? So I think getting those, relieving those doctors and telling them that you're doing a fantastic job as a doctor, but integratively we are still failing because the patient is not really reversing a disease. That's been very, very hard for me as a, as a founder to make those decisions.
It's nice to see that you have a vision and your mission strives to reach to that mission.
Yeah.
Which brings me to my next question, that you work with so many doctors, coaches, and alternative therapists under one roof. How do you stop it from becoming a war of ego?
It does. Eventually, the goal should be patient. Eventual goal should, because panel discussions sometimes can become difficult. You know, when let's say a Ayurvedic doctor, naturopathy doctor is saying that this protocol will work. I'll give you an example. Enemas, for example. When a naturopathy doctor brings it up that, hey, we should do enemas because enemas will work. Scientifically speaking, there's not very strong correlation research-wise that enemas actually work. So from a allopathy doctor who's going by peer-reviewed science, we are telling, I'm sorry, but there is no data showing, so I can't tell the patient to go and do enemas because I don't see very strong evidence that enema will work for, let's say, autoimmune disease like ulcerative colitis, which is an autoimmune disease of the gut lining. So sometimes, but eventually it comes down to protocols which we have tested and tried, and is the patient able to follow it? What the patient, so if you put the patient first, so then generally I would have to step in and say patient first, and every patient is different. For instance, we know that certain nutritional protocols will work with patients. We know that they don't need anything except nutritional changes, but maybe they are living in a joint family where the cooking is not in their control, which a lot of us are. How much will you fight with your family members for 2 meals a day? You can't, right? It's not in your control. So even though we know scientifically this will work for you, but are you able to make the change? You're not able to make the change. I'll keep my ego aside and say, as a nutritionist, I'm not going to be able to contribute, even though I know. So as long as we keep driving that message again and again, that patient first, patient first, patient first, eventually egos will take a backseat.
So what is the biggest lie in healthcare industry that the healthcare industry tells its patients?
Biggest lie the healthcare industry tells the patient is that managing disease is winning over your disease. So if you're just managing, if you have hypertension and you're taking a medicine for hypertension and your BP stays under control, you've done a fantastic job. A healthcare industry will tell you that. That's not true. Managing disease is failing because you're not reversing it. You're not focusing on reversal anymore. You're just managing the condition. If you have psoriasis and by taking steroids or like biologics or drugs, you're not getting flare-ups. It's because of the drug you're not getting the symptom of the flare-up. But whatever is causing psoriasis in the first place is still not dealt with. And we still have to deal with that. Very common with rheumatoid arthritis. When we have patients with rheumatoid arthritis, particularly older population, come in with joint pains and knee pains and aches, and you're not able to get up. You're not able to wake up in the morning to tie their button, or they have trigger fingers. So it takes a very long time for them to just open in the morning, or many of them are not able to do that. And you give them a drug and say, look, now you're fixed, no? But that doesn't mean you fix rheumatoid arthritis. It's a lie. You're fixing the symptom of pain by cutting off the pain receptors, but you're not treating the problem. So reversal would be to get them to a point of not taking any medicine, continue with your lifestyle and eating habits, and still see the patient on the other side saying, I'm feeling completely. That is. So I think that's a lie when we say managing symptom is reversing the symptom.
So you have traveled across India. You have traveled to different places like UK, Canada, Hong Kong, and so many other places. Has that changed your thought process in how the healthcare should work, or let's say your business itself? How should you change your business?
Yeah, I love India. I love India from the perspective that I don't think I've seen a stronger healthcare system than India. For my clients in the US, Canada, UK, even to get a basic blood draw sometimes will take months. together. Diagnosis takes months and months together, and that delays the problem. I think we are so blessed in India where at the click of a few buttons, I can get a doctor to come home. I don't even have to go to the clinic. So I love that fact about India. But trying to see from a business perspective, a lot of failures again in the beginning stage of the business where I saw something which was beautiful there and I wanted to bring it and implement it over here. Um, Talking about the first business I started was running a fitness industry. So I had gyms, I had multiple gyms. Um, so I would try to see cardio cinema, for example, was one of the things which I had seen in a US gym where there was you have a huge cinema hall like screen with a movie playing and you had cardio equipment. So while you're doing your cardio, you watch a movie. So it's a cardio cinema. And we had recreated that cardio cinema here in our gym in Bangalore, and it was a miserable failure. And it was a failure, I'll tell you why. Because in the US, people don't have time. You have your 45 minutes, 1 hour to come to the gym, finish your gym, and go out. India, people have time. So people would come and sit for 3 hours and watch a movie and not even do the cardio. So it was occupied and it was not generating any revenue for us. And you can't tell people go because they paid for the gym. So what it was very, culturally it didn't match. I think taking those lessons, but now that I predominantly work in India, understanding culture, I love that conversation we had earlier, especially from if you're in the south, especially in the south, and we do this very consciously in the clinic. If you are someone who's from Tamil Nadu, we will try our best to connect you with a doctor and a coach who's from Tamil Nadu. If you're someone who's from Kerala, we'll try to connect you with a doctor and a coach who's from Kerala. And people heal better. It's very interesting. People heal faster. People are happier when they're coming to the clinic. They talk their local language. They talk, the cultures matching. So we try to do that as much as possible in our clinic, where we are connecting you with people from your own culture. Even for nutrition coaches, your food choices will resemble someone who's eating similar kind of food. Someone who's from Bengal might not understand a Karnataka diet, but someone who's from Karnataka understands. So people relate to better. We try to do that in the clinic, and that's one cultural change I like doing.
Right. So, my next question to you would be, you are a woman who built 5 businesses in a sector that men traditionally dominated. What specific barriers did you face, and what advice would you have to give to the future women entrepreneurs?
I've had benefits over barriers. I think when you're underestimated a lot, it's only benefits. It's not a lot of barriers because then you prove others and you prove yourselves. I don't think, but definitely there have been a lot of times when um, the recent business is the only one which me and my husband are doing together. Yeah, so that's the first time when we are collaborating on something. And a lot of times when we have meetings, I haven't realized this before, but a lot of times when we have meetings and we are sitting together and talking, and you start seeing that the opposite person, especially if it's a man, most likely when it's a man, the conversation only goes between them. And I'm talking, I'm giving, and he's the opposite person is listening to me and then turning his head and talking to my husband, and that keeps happening, and I have to keep bringing it up. Hey, but I asked you a question, can you look at me and raise my voice slightly? My husband keeps watching it's kind of embarrassing. Like, but you have to teach people, how people have to be treated. That's probably the only time, and now I have something to compare with because now it's two of us running a business together. And also a lot of times when let's say there's a management conflict, an employee conflict, this is something I personally bring it onto myself. I would take a back seat and tell him, why don't you go and talk, because you can talk in a louder voice, I can't talk in a louder voice. And he has to keep reminding me, no, if this was your business, you would have done it. Just because you have, so why are you putting women back now? Your job you need to do. And I think sometimes we also tend to take that as a backseat because we feel like a man can do it better. And in terms of conflict management, I don't think that's true. Women definitely do a better job at conflict management than men do. So those are the few things, and definitely dealing with, like, the legal authorities, the cops, a lot of that. I feel that becomes easier when you have men around. We should start changing. We should have more conversations around that. But besides that, I feel that as a woman, there's a lot more advantage. There's advantages in terms of getting loans. There's advantages in terms of people respecting women more when you're running, like, an industry. I've seen more advantages than I've seen anything else. Yeah.
Right. So we at GIBS have students ranging between the age of 18 to, let's say, 25. What would be one lifestyle change that you would like to see in all of them, so that, in the future they would not be diagnosed with anything and we don't have to manage any diseases?
Okay. People who are athletes, even if they stop working out, they're still athletes by heart, because then you've fallen in love with fitness. It's nothing to do with forcing yourself to go and play cricket or forcing yourself to go to the gym. You've fallen in love. You've taught yourself to fall in love with fitness. I think if there was one message I would give people young, is fall in love with the sport. That stays with you for the rest of your life. The Instead of waking up on your 35s and realizing you have a backache and now you have to go to the gym, now you have to start yoga, and then it becomes very difficult because you don't like to do it. You're doing it because you really have to do it. So this learning to fall in love with a sport happens when you're younger. So in your teens, early 20s, make fitness a habit. Make it a habit, because then you correlate fitness with a stress-free time. You correlate fitness with positivity. And then later on in life, even if you don't have time, you will look forward to fitness because it's stress-free, it's positive, it's something you look forward to. So nutrition, sleep, there's so much you can do, but if there's only one thing which you should do, make fitness fun and fall in love with fitness at a young age.
What would be your advice on stress management for our students, especially during exams time?
I think I keep telling this to students all the time. Real life is really not as challenging as exams are. Going through your, the core exams. The real life is not as challenging. It's, you obviously find something that you love doing, and then it's really not. But when it comes to stress management in the clinic, we work with a lot of students and explore adaptogenic herbs and nootropics. These are, either traditional Chinese medicine or Ayurveda has a lot of herbal solutions to help enhance your cognitive performance, to help enhance, to reduce brain fog symptoms, to help enhance your recovery. And because sleep is not necessarily or always an option. So you should focus on sleep. Sleep is very, very important. But if not that, then we have many other solutions. Explore adaptogenic herb, explore nootropics, work with an expert. There are a lot of breathwork techniques which increases your blood flow towards your brain, breathwork techniques that helps you in terms of stress management. I think these punctuations, 5 minutes, 10 minutes per day, versus trying to say that 1 hour can I go and do pranayam, 1 hour can I do exercise, probably not happen. Yeah.
So you've been talking about peptide therapy, all that. Can you explain what that means?
Sure. Peptide therapy is very new to the Indian market still, something that we are really trying hard to get it at Clinic Living Plus. Peptides are short chain amino acids. Giving you a very easy understanding of this, let's say you take a protein shake. A protein shake is mostly composed of all the 22 amino acids. Amino acids are building blocks of proteins. Yeah. But let's say I specifically want to work on my skin health. Then you would have heard of this thing called collagen. Collagen is one type of peptide, a combination of a few of these amino acids placed in a certain way, which if you take it in your body, then that starts repairing your skin, repairing your hair. Like that, there are specific peptides for specific function. There's something called BPC 157, body protection compound 157, a particular peptide which is already made in your gut lining. It's there, it's already there. It'll help you with inflammation management, helps you with better recovery. It helps you, let's say you're injured yourself, it helps you with recovery. So internationally, a lot of athletes or a lot of people who are also struggling with gut disorders, a lot of people who are struggling with inflammation related disorder like arthritis, like psoriasis, have incorporated under medical guidelines these kinds of peptides which will fast forward your healing process. So I'll give you one of the examples of one of the patients which I know has been using peptides, came to us with a ligament tear, and a cricket player came to us with a ligament tear. Recovery was, it was a few months of recovery with a lot of rehabilitation, a lot of work with a physiotherapist and all that. And we shortened his recovery time to half by using peptide therapy. So you're healing people much faster. Another example was someone I know who was struggling with osteoarthritis, restricting her mobility to walk. and also struggling with obesity. She was about 100 kilo plus in her late 60s. So at that time, getting up and working out, it's very difficult. Someone who's already 100 kilos in the late 60s, entire life they haven't worked out, has osteoarthritis because of the body weight and inflammation and all of that. But just using peptide therapy without nutritional changes, without lifestyle changes, we were able to get her to walk 7,000 steps per day from someone who was on almost bed rest. And this was in matter of months, 2.5, 3 months. So peptide therapy can be very beneficial under medical guidance. If you've heard of Ozempic, Mounjaro, these are particular peptides for weight management. They help you suppress your appetite. So that's also a peptide. That's also a particular kind of peptide. So peptide therapy, I think it's still very new to India, and so much needs to be done in terms of regulations and legalities and getting peptides to India, getting quality peptides and all of that. Um, but when I'm working with a lot of my mentors globally, there's so many beautiful stories which we are hearing about people healing themselves with peptide therapy, particularly in autoimmune diseases, gut disorders is what I focus on. Of course, also injury recovery and things like that. Yeah.
So you talk so much about holistic healing, healing from within, healing oneself, all of that, which makes me think, at what age do you think, we should start with the right kind of a diet, right kind of thought process, all of that, so that we are, free of any kind of diseases?
Yeah, I think parents should incorporate certain changes for their family very young on in age. Particularly things like making sure that you're not eating very late into the night. That's not very difficult to incorporate. Let's say 7 p.m. is a kitchen deadline. 7 p.m. is a kitchen is closed. Kitchen is closed. You're not going to get food after 7 p.m. That is, if incorporated young, it stays with you. You don't become a person suddenly you will switch on the other side. So it stays with you. Making sure that sugar is restricted to a few. You go out and you enjoy. It should be looked at. I've never gone out to a restaurant and had a salad. I've not. How much ever I talk about health, for me, that time is enjoy time. When I'm outside, I want to enjoy. But when I'm home, the food is the healthiest it possibly can. And I come from a multicultural. My parents are from Gujarat. I grew up in Bangalore. So sometimes the dining table would be ragi mudde with Gujarati dal. It is really a combination. But it is very, very healthy food which is made at home. And when you go out and you have a few meals of enjoyment, you have also trained your dopamine system to constantly not reward yourself and look forward to that 1 or 2 rewards in a week. And you really enjoy those 1 or 2 because you're only getting that 1 or 2 rewards. So I think those healthy habits need to be incorporated very young. There are multi pillars, especially in the morning. I tell people to have this morning routine. Breath work, I talk so much about nutrition, diet, peptides, ozone, medical therapy, all of that. Breath work trumps everything. Breath work trumps everything. It's magical. Being able to breathe right and training your body to be able to breathe right. Do you know the pace at which you breathe can change the alkalinity or acidity of the stomach? And when you change the alkalinity or acidity, the kind of foods you crave for are different. So if you're someone who's used to taking short breaths, you breathe too many times in 1 minute, which most of us are, you tend to also have higher cravings towards acidic food like cheese and meats and things which are not healthy for you. If you can train your body to change your breathing pattern 5 minutes, 10 minutes per day and reduce the number of breaths you're taking per minute, it becomes a habit. You do the 5 minutes training in the morning, over time, you'll become the kind of person who does not take too many breaths per minute. Then you're changing your cravings. Imagine, no, if salad and samosas kept in front of me, naturally I want to go towards salad. Naturally, no one is telling me. I'm not restricting. I'm not doing it out of self-discipline. I'm not telling myself that if I eat this, this will happen. No, naturally I'm needing. That is only possible when internal chemistry is changed. When your dopamine receptors, when your brain, your gut is all in sync. And that can only happen when you're changing habits. So breath work, I think, trumps everything. Breath work, meditation, and exercise. This is part of my morning routine, and I tell people to incorporate. Does not have to be. Mine goes on from 6:30 in the morning to about 9:30, 10 in the morning. It does not have to be so long. 6:30 to 7:30, you have 1 hour, divided 15 minutes and half an hour, but make it a habit. And I think these are such small things. So when you start doing it, you really genuinely start liking it. You genuinely start liking. You look forward to it. Like for instance, generally my meditation is about 20, 25 minutes. Recently, I've been I came across this YouTube channel called the Gateway Experience, which has longer meditation, 40-45 minutes long. But I got very addicted and I look forward to it. Like every morning, I really want to, I want to do it. So that changing shift happens, and it's easier with kids to get that. I love this parent had told me once, my kid is 5 years, is turning 5 this year. So now onwards, it's going to be 5 minutes of meditation. Every year, we add 1 minute extra. So when he turns 6, it's going to be 6 minutes of meditation. So training the kid to stay silent for 5 minutes, I think it's beautiful.
So you're talking about making changes at a very early age. Now, one of the problems that we see is the screen time that they cannot get themselves away from. So what would be your suggestion into reducing the screen time?
Yeah, I'm not a parent. I don't think I would be because it's so easy to say. But when you're a parent, only a parent knows. It's probably not easy. But my sister is expecting her first baby, so we will have a baby in the house very soon for me to do my baby
Congratulations.
experiments. Thank you. We are very excited about it. But that being said, there's something we are seeing this in kids with autism a lot, because autism is also one of the things which we work towards in our clinic. Kids with autism, the kids which we are seeing in the clinic who struggle with autism, are to a large extent also the kids who've been exposed to screen time a lot when they were younger. Through no one's fault, parents are busy and parents didn't know better. So let's say a child is on iPads and laptops 5-6 hours a day, developmental delays is what we are seeing later in life. So I think that generally is something parents should consider, screen time. But like I said, much easier said than that. And also living in, mostly we are nuclear families where people are working. What do? Child is like a full-time job. It's a full-time job and it requires constant attention. It could be really hard to, make sure that you're staying away from screens. You're also working and you're also taking care of the child. Yeah.
So what would be the ideal screen time, let's say, for a college student?
College is different. I think college, it more becomes in terms of your neuropathy, that you're not repeating the same. You're not doing the scrolling. You're not repeating the same. But if you're using screen in terms of expanding your mind, you're learning. For instance, right now in our organization, the biggest excitement is for all of us in terms of how we can use Claude to do things differently for us. It's beautiful. Every day someone comes up with a new way to use Claude. I recently set up an entire KPI system for all the different departments using. I don't know Excel. I can't. I get irritated of Excel. It's not easy for me. It does not come easy to me. But very high level Excel I did with Claude in terms of setting KPIs. Very exciting for me. So for us recently in the organization, that so I think with college it's not so much about screen time. It's about making sure that you're not shrinking your neuropathy. You're expanding it. You're not doing the repeated task of social media and repeated task. You're really using it in terms of expansion.
So let's move on to a rapid fire set of questions. The one food every Indian should stop eating immediately.
Be controversial. I say dairy all the time because I think the dairy industry is really adulterated to a very large extent. Very high in growth hormones, sex hormones. We are seeing a lot of young women struggle with hormonal disorders because of dairy consumption. Also high in saturated fats, ghee, paneer, very high in saturated fats, very cholesterol causing. What used to be a spoon of ghee with our meals now has become like 3-4 spoons of ghee on the roti itself. Then you put it on rice, then you use it for tadka, and just using more than required.
So the one food every Indian thinks is unhealthy, but actually isn't.
I think I would say fruits, because I've been hearing that a lot recently. Fruits, from diabetes perspective or from any, fruits are so healthy for you. Micronutrient rich, fiber rich, essential vitamin rich. I think fruits.
Your morning starts at what time, and what's the very first thing that you do?
6:30 mostly, because my puppy wants to walk and she jumps on my chest and gives me a CPR to get out.
The biggest lie the nutrition industry tells people.
Oh, the biggest lie nutrition industry tells people. That would be interesting. The biggest lie nutrition industry tells people, recent thing which comes to my mind is intermittent fasting is everything. I think intermittent fasting is one thing, but if you're intermittent fasting and your calorie intake is still very, very high, you're not doing any benefit to the fasting. You're still doing the same thing. Do you want?
One habit that changed your life more than any diet.
Breath work, huge. I don't, because I'm not a breath work coach, so I can't promote, or I can't tell people to do the right breath work. But whatever I've learned from my gurus and whatever I follow, breath work is one thing that has changed my life.
The last book that genuinely shocked you.
The last book that genuinely shocked me was actually the China study, which is really old. I keep telling, but that was shocking because it changed my trajectory in terms of how I practice nutrition. But the last book that changed a lot of my organizational structure recently and changed me as someone from a management perspective is this book called Who Not How, by, I think, Dan Sullivan. It's a very, very good book. I think everyone who's in management should read it.
So my very last question to you would be is what would be the advice that you would like to give our students?
I think all of us tend to prioritize certain aspects of our life in certain time. When it's about financial growth, it's about financial. So 14 hours, 15 hours is spent towards financial growth. When it is about personal development, it's about personal development. Most often health takes the last seat. Yeah. And I'm not talking in terms of fitness and working out and exercising, but at least being aware of your basic blood markers, being aware of your internal health status. So you're not surprised when people get heart attacks at their late 30s, early 40s, and they say that I was otherwise very healthy, because you've never checked your parameters. I think one thing which everyone should be aware about is check your parameters regularly.
Thank you so much for being here with us. It was wonderful to have you here, and you helped us understand about your business. You helped us understand what the students are supposed to do and how do we manage our health. Not manage, I'm sorry. How do we, what was that?
Thrive. We thrive.
How do we thrive instead of just managing diseases? How do we evolve into be better human beings? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anita. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for watching this podcast. We truly appreciate you taking time to join us for today's discussion. I hope the insights shared today spark new ideas and provide you with valuable perspective for your professional journey. If you enjoyed the conversation, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on our upcoming podcast. This is Dr. Anita Kurian signing off. See you in the next one.